standards maximizing spectrum will be preferred when psychology and space mechanism is more justifiable, but you know what? Oh wait, this is about strong emphasis when people look at the economic behavior, often the people see this different. Like people see it as property lines to have to determine different quality. Second is no active distinction rituals. One was the difference between causing and allowing. When we lost something, we from the economic allowing, found someone to die, and not say they wanted to let them die. Third, moral uncertainty means we should take every step to save our lives. Watch them. We know what outcomes are moral. They're morally preserving the future and treating the future humanity is the best way to available for us to increase the probability the future will attain value. Forward to calculate that. Take one of your deny policymakers use all the time to determine the policy are good about viewpoint time. So you're really shooting arguments that everyone knows are false, but arbitrarily secure time answering them. See one is calculated inevitable. You never lose util calculated every day. Last source resources unlimited wants to create trade-offs and opportunity costs which requires calculation solve and paradigms advocacy. Plan text respective states under the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and Russian Federation to eliminate their nuclear arsenals in Europe and Asia. I've inserted a list of specification to check spec record. 18 in the 2012 NATO Russia defense posture controversy of production of Russia's weapons stockpile. They reflected disarmament initiative, the removal of American nuclear weapons from European land council should reduce on timely eliminate the nuclear arsenal and onset this policy. NATO should be more tentative, creating size of recurring security conditions in Europe can use it in reducing East-West tension advantage. NATO Russia war never now for a reason. 1 point NATO trills escalate tensions. 1819 NATO exercises reflect their preparation for election and military calling NATO's activities of hiding terrorist Western to trigger crisis situation of the military conflict elections. Preparation in military conflict Moscow's over European legal conservative diplomacy the Baltics. And second is decline in nuclear treaties. Bebe 9 the death of INT pivotal agreement and treaties in inspection for destroyed NATO's property news our treaty here and first and afraid all the key US arms control provisions are with little effort to replace them. Some years are now seen as dangerous that he's been Trump's suggestion to manage the Prince of diplomacy to produce connection. Third, NATO will escalate absent denuclearization. Russell Reed 19 NATO said Russia must destroy cruise missiles and for the alliance will respond. The US will quit a missile treaty to after it fails to destroy the missile label SSC. NATO said the SSCA violates assurance and try Russia has deployed the system which could threaten countries. And four, Putin is a staunch revisionist and opportunist. He views NATO as an obstacle to Russian primacy, which means constructive engagement fails. And he advanced from nuclear uses caused him to escalate the cause of nuclear retaliation. Kagan 19. Putin closely monitors international situation and executes plans when condition favor the Kremlin. Putin's aims are clear, restore Russia's global power. He identifies NATO as an adversary. The West stop treating him as a partner. Putin seek a will dominate from former Soviet countries without condemnation. Putin combines Soviet nostalgia with Russian nationalism narratives, shift to dominate changing realities, cyber attacks against Soviet invasion in Georgia, Ukraine, serial violations of ILA, repeated violations that do not result in consequences, is normalization of President Putin. Will use it more aggressive trying to alliances that gravitate. The West was the alliance that gravitated towards Russia. If you had been particularly effective, Russia would lose if they did not select towards nuclear weapons. One could trace this like a conventional war. If you're a nuclear weapon to force the U.S. to back on as possible to prevent the American response. Nuclear retaliation would be forced to a larger strike against NATO, and the U.S. and leading to destruction of life on Earth. And nuclear capability exists on all sides, but are preparing for nuclear escalation. O'Connor 19 Putin just grabbed Thunder 19 involving 5 nuclear submarines and 2 13 missile launches, including the nuclear capable ballistic and cruise missile. Russian military tested and ICB on the Pentagon announced its own nuclear training. The NATO military launch conducted successful unit involving warplanes and transporting US-1 nuclear bombs. And best simulation models prove nuclear escalation kills millions and escalates to global nuclear war loans. And March 1991 military of Russia, the biggest NATO country might be killed within 3 hours following the single one shot. The simulation is called Planet A Battle. Using nuclear weapons and ready feasibly and quickly snowball into a global nuclear war. The risk of nuclear war is incredibly dramatic. The past year causes extinction threat and a war involving the US and Russia, which are the largest and have been globally quantified effects, reducing food production, leading to colossal marginalization, and extinction of humanity. Nuclear war launch delivered first attack in the ever system failed cause and nuclear deterrence fails and doesn't prevent Russian aggression. In fact, 19 reserves from nuclear weapons they can't save the Baltic. They were stopped at can be held hostage. NATO nukes are not deterrent to Russia because Europe would be far more to lose than Russia. NATO's lack of escalation dominance. NATO would have a stronger incentive to determine nuclear operations, cut the guard in nuclear operations. And even if one country like the US denuclearizes, it sends a de-escalatory signal that creates a path for dialogue. Like Russia sees its tactical and nuclear weapons as countering the NATO superiority. Removing used nuclear weapons would be seen to Bedone. It would send a de-escalatory signal to Russia, and it would help her defense risk. East-West a clear direction for their arms reduction. NATO nevertheless is involved in the coordinating among alliances countries and multilateral negotiations. Bilateral denuclearization solves minor and move 14 and NATO wants to engage in Russia seriously. alliances need to precondition the chain and NATO's nuclear war posture would not take place unless Russia reciprocating NATO should signal to Russia that they be tackling these war businesses undermine the credibility and offer such a condition of Russia's humanity source to open series of the alliance should kickstart a confidence building costing a private framework for real instructions. Establish that arms control helps to establish cooperation, increase chances of reducing the source, eliminate potentially insecure weapons. Theory review. One-year theory is legit. Anything else means the infinite views dropped in video. 1 year is too short to make up for time trade-offs. No RVS 6 minutes. 2 means to get 3/4 me every time. Second, reasonability on once each else. 1 year is too short to line by line every argument. Make a counter interpretation. Go for substance. Key to go checking over average and interpretation. Third, after RVS and 1C theory. A point is time. So 6 minutes. 2 to 4 minute 1 year means they're socially advantaged. Not enough time for me to win substance in theory. B point is deterrence. Key to wait for those interpretations always because making debating substance is impossible. Which always because we only have 2 months to debate the topic. 4, grabbing you 1 year academic issues. Key to being reactive to the specifics of the 1 and C. Always only would have contextual theory debates. A is the interpretation debaters must expose all constructive position. The side box of the 2019-2020 20 ND the wiki to clarify they can't say check open source violation check that see the screenshot of the doc status. One is pre-run preparation prep. It becomes atrocious when you can just sift through 20 Word docs to figure out which link you're reading it. Which really patches prep discourages tricks. You can just hide a bunch of bloody arguments. Also taking inclusions to disadvantage people have computers more prone to lag it. And either through refer can crash for them. Always accessibility is a multiplier for their impacts. Disclosing side boxes solves people and quickly get a summary of your position to go for open source if they need more information. Supercharged by the fact Joey's NegWiki has 125 distinct entries, 120 of which they see open source, which means we'd have to open 120 different open source arguments. Second is wiki rules. The wiki tells you need to disclose like everyone else. Reloading is bad, and always they cultivate passive citizenship. It turns out have actually strong their impact reaches the vote for education. Disclosure has to be dropped debated and voted. It's uniquely able to set norms, and you can't drop the argument on disclosure. Argument you shouldn't get an RV on 1C theory. It's not as a 7-minute collapse on 1C argumentation. And skews over a short 4-minute 1 error. Dex substance debate, which always on scope because we only have 2 months to debate the topic. Competing interpretations because disclosure is a question of model debate. We should be able to defend our model. Robustly, the method debate. Reject fatalistic theories. This court tends to contradict the idea of another world being possible. Block chair by 18 dissent from the assumption attempted of solid later characterization about taking it. Back to Wilson, the best it can offer is a fight without purposes. They can believe that insurmountable emancipation is either misguided, genocidal, or not possible. Anti-black is unrelated, utilizing hinders in selfhood. It's possible to effectively resist having a dedicated struggle in favor of despair dancing at the end of the world. We should still know nothing of freedom. I marked one card. Do you just like? Can I just tell you where I marked it?
Yeah. 1 sec. Let me just go back to the.
It's the PEC 19 card of nuclear operations.
19 nuclear operations. Where is that?
It's NATO would have stronger incentives to terminate nuclear operations.
Okay, that's cool. Alright, 3 minutes good?
Yep.
Starting now. Could you tell me what this app was before round?
I don't remember what happened before round.
Okay, liar. Let's go to the interview.
That's
So
unverifiable.
okay, well we'll have that debate. So let's go to the underview. So what exactly is deterrence?
Huh?
What is the underview? Like what is deterrence?
Huh? What is deterrence?
Yes.
In the context of what?
In the underview? Is it just for what is frivolous theory actually?
Oh, are you talking about the AFRBI stuff?
Yes. Actually, no. Can you define what frivolous theory is?
So I think you're misinterpreting the point. The point is that you can.
I'm asking a different question. What is frivolous theory?
What is frivolous Well, that's up to the 1 error to contextualize. Also, judge.
So the 1 error.
Like they can.
Can you give me a byline for if I can tell if a shell is frivolous?
Well, obviously I can't delineate what exactly because there's just a bunch of bidirectional shells you could read, right? Like obviously this is up to things like 1 error contextualization. And we've run one reasons why you should grant me new 1 error paradigm issues. That was the very next argument.
Okay, so why should you get one new 1 error paradigm?
It's key to being reactive to the specifics on the 1 and C that allows for contextual theory debates rather than just random paradigm issues.
Okay, the voters for the shell is fairness in education, right?
We made arguments why independently disclosure is a reason that you should disclose.
Okay, what's the argument and where is the argument?
Disclosure has to be dropped debater and a voter. It is uniquely able to set norms and you can't drop the argument.
What does that mean?
Disclosure as a praxis we think is a good idea because we think that.
So that's just a drop the debater argument. Let's go to the framework.
The reason why it's an independent voter.
Okay, sure. Let's go to the framework. What is util? Or what is pleasure?
What is util? We don't have the sort of naturalism justifications that you're trying to go for.
Okay, so what is how do we know if a consequence is good or bad?
Sure, our genome evidence is pretty good on this. It talks about how individuals have a psychological disposition towards ends-based mechanisms. Studies show that people change their understanding of the ethicality of others' behaviors the second that they understand consequences.
Okay, what's a calcondite?
What's a calcondite? Again, the 1 error paradigm issue, but things like
okay, so you keep saying 1 error paradigm issue, you're not answering my question. What is a paradigm?
Things like aggregation fails, aggregation fails arguments. There's also
so reasons why your framework is false.
Also, like the universe is infinite. Huh?
Okay, so any reason why your framework falls.
Well, there's a distinction between like making specific arguments and it's the warrants we've delineated versus just reading a general jump for why like util triggers permissibility. Right? There's a distinction that the 1 error can contextualize to.
Okay, sure. Let's go to the underview. What is infinite abuse?
What is infinite abuse?
Yes.
What it sounds like the ability for individuals to be
like how can I be infinitely abusive? What does it look like to be infinitely abusive?
What does it look? Well, we have made arguments as to why that in 7 minutes of a 1 and C they can do ridiculous amounts of things that makes debating impossible. That is an infinite abuse. Debate impossible.
Okay. So the wiki rules tell me to disclose like everyone else. What does that mean?
So the argument is that you should either full text or first 3 last 3.
The wiki says I can either full text or first 3 last 3.
Yes.
The wiki tells me that I can full text.
Huh? No, the wiki tells you that you have to put arguments in the side box so people can get an overview of your arguments.
Okay, where is that?
That's literally the screenshot of the doc.
Oh, okay, awesome. 4 minutes.
It's
Sorry.
not an excuse for bad disclosure practices.
I mean, okay, but. Is everyone okay with death good discourse? Or is there anyone have a trigger warning? Or like, I'm just giving a trigger warning. Does anyone object to death good discourse?
No. I haven't.
Okay. Great. Alright, 57 seconds left. The order will be 3 off case. Yep. Thank you. Okay, starting on the show.
I didn't put on the speech drop thing.
I'm Roku. Just save. NC trips, is it? Yeah, Aditya. I've uploaded it.
Sorry, you said 3 off?
Yep.
We're on cage.
Oh, sorry, 4 off actually. Case starting on the shell, and then the underview, and then the advantage. And sorry, and then the framing, then the advantage. Get your Googles out.
So you're doing the case first or off first?
Pardon? Oh, yeah, it's gonna be the offs and then the case.
Every judge has their day.
Alright. Is anybody not ready? Okay.
Permissible presumption get influence the resolution in case the affirmative proven obligation permissible deny the existence obligation before same power more often false and truth the part can be false means to negate fears often the resolution possible the neighbors with the affirmative logical having silence because the affirmative through they will prefer first text all use express logical consequences find out Miriam must be after that finds out use in case some of these problems that 2 seconds availability that was based on that appears about rather than school trends rather than resolvable action principle and argue for years people so rules can't get action is great 11 yes gap is a problem more false how do you know all do you think it's from ways most imperceptibly might find the arsenal opposite conclude we are not consuming a number of facts like conclude the conclusions unrelated is our gap is in the a problem for number loss and first negative finish towards the I should find on the one because it was in the rest of the predictable constitution by not so you do so they go forth with the right to read a new definition that kills one is strategies that purpose by engagement like your definition and again first inherency the F is you put on inherent which voting on presumption be one is that it's not gonna happen you close by their inherency here proves that the I was not gonna happen now second is a Zenith paradox go and you must go have here first then I go to have the remaining doesn't have the remaining and so for the infinity this motion possible to necessity to traverse the infinite number space to find out amount of time the emotions and also eliminating nuclear weapons and non-logical consequences with the resolution now Thursday can eliminate the nuclear arsenal it will be arsenal the elimination which easy since rank will be possessed by anyone additionally or you want to fix actual you want to say you want extra from the existence or requires a problem the existence of which makes any multiple here will also either case we convert the outcome of the situation we can suppose the no situation have rapidly exactly even if you know the no guarantee the outcome will be the same if you can predict a situation that means everyone can which means that everyone will just predict each other make a paradox and action so far as well trying to predict the outcome of each other action all cancel out the obligation now second out the nature of laws and will commit said with all the full assumption of obedience because we pull the here with no expectation things all to be false however in a political society keeping a variety of people only maintain the assumption of obedience by enacting numerous laws that are justified all people who can value the people all individuals and groups who must have value those are actually motivated to cooperate with others to stand consistently with mutual thoughts prefer versus political authority must be compatible with liberty those subject to comes legit must be acceptable those subject be some reason or sustainable for free person because nothing justifies subject to authority six and frame collapse you cannot probably get actually pull six sentence in the frame start out a person for everyone adopting a world where you just cannot reasonably act like this should conform to the reason dictated by the afternoon theory because the reason are not intrudation and again they don't have the authority to do the after and I disagree because they're not mutual tolerant other girls that would like people by articles with negative third up things that we hear. First of all, it's always the true outcome of abuse and cause of being pulled out of background seconds. You can have valid voters because you don't have to flow rather than make a decision was actually better. So you can be as consistent with the voter. The third is that you don't improve the best rule because that allows the benefit. The debate proves that was the benefit of the fourth is that I think to prove true and debaters are true in the real world. So they actually see the vote on purpose because it doesn't improve by better. No, the physical contradiction because your voters in the continued better beneficial for a combating team but no combating team which established rules in middle competition. And second that theory is bad no because will for interest on marginal other interests are the best version of the interest doesn't achieve the voter sense that theory is paradoxical because not attempting to just use arguments which can see the arguments the first one is not traditional because judges can only vote for something for their side of the resolution. The resolution doesn't care about whether we can debate just as a previous set of theories of voter education not first speaks about debate ballot but not the constitutive nature of a judge. Generally we say that we ought to promote educational debate but that values and not intrinsically connected. Also judges have church but I say not the intrinsic person I debate to and have a 1 2 not not why schools fund back schools once more schools don't fund debate so they don't care about schools will be educated most part people didn't do it anyway fifth subjective the fifth educational for people nobody said one norm is objectively better for education. Now six is only as useful education critical thing what you get from day learning at different areas of the never mind the rule. I said that fairness is not a voter. First off, under education predominantly universal. However, fairness always situated. Second is no wrong for how much fairness is not. Now third is fairness impossible because require you can each debate the same amount of speeches in time. Now fourth is we never know how we've achieved fairness because always influenced by external factors like coaching and staff. Also fifth is fairness unfair because they want the judges how it counts first. So push other debaters. This have people the runners also has the best 3 blocks not real because wrong proves now third is theories come down who has less than three also found textual unfair. First the resolution is the only thing that we're given before the mind which I always predict. Now fourth thought interpretation of debate must be schools the plantex with negative data third is for on the clear disclosure can occur on the wiki or over mentioned they didn't do the put negative public class for two internally staples neck crap performance was not enough to put a coherent once you update generics that 30 minutes necessary a little bit that for a bit about he shot the one team position applying and a research application for and people's quality plain text disclosure to cheap as the data is inherent easily do probably 20 minutes of research should be it should lose we'll answer the one that's claim about innovation with 30 minutes rather says instead of the fund new strategic well so that with the no incentive because of horrible and going coherent the app get neck can't check about with a broader literature on the shell proper counter-interpretation I defend the volitional argument here is that first we're going to go on the line by line first on the pre-round prep argument first is downloading the docs you can easily just be able to go for all these this term will leave your interpretation because it's not like every single entry is in a separate doc arguments that we read them all in speech talks exactly they're different versions also you can just ask me before what you think I was going to read which means that just a question about what's happening on the topic which means that you should be just a functional pre-round prep argument here that rather proves that there's only a limited amount of things that are on my wiki that you can actually have to prep you also have accessibility collapse of fairness insofar as the question they get non-independent voter because accessibility is a question of being able to have equal ground of fairness which means that the question question about include also inclusion of the fallacy of origin, which means you shouldn't care about it just because wherever you came from doesn't mean that we have any obligation for it. As far as this means it takes all the arguments about accessibility, which means you shouldn't necessarily care about also independently as far as that you should be reasonable when it comes to accessibility, also be reasonable on their interpretation because you can always be infinitely more on disclosure. Like for example, why don't you disclose your opponent's stock, etc., which means that there's many ways in which you can keep going down the loophole of disclosure and you can never actually hold them out, which means be reasonable on disclosure, unique also on the wiki rules, able least education, no reason also why it matters. Also, you say disclosure to be dropped to beta right and is the voter. However, this impact justified, no reason why setting norms matters. Also, it's not your jurisdiction voter, no reason that's why you should necessarily care about disclosures. Out of our norm, also out of our norms are uniquely bad voter, and so far as it justifies that me losing conservative pick when I was a freshman, which means that it would just incentivize people to keep doing bad practices because that means they will have there's nothing to lose because they can just keep doing the bad practices, which means that it makes much of that happens in the front. So out of our violations don't matter. On the argument, first let's start on the framing. You say reject calculus, A points empirical denied. You say empirical denied. However, A points as an induction, which we deny. We prove that it necessarily fails. That B point is false just because that happened in the past. That we've given many examples of which aggregation could fail, or it makes a question if they've done it successfully in the past, which means it makes a question about use aggregation in the past. Oh well, saying you say times you have it makes a question if they're shitty or not. This is just a whole argument. You just say they're really shitty arguments, but we've proven that they're true, which means if we win the argument, it's not shitty. And like you say, calculus is and now this is fallacy. Just because we use it doesn't mean it ought to be used. And secondly, we've proven that our framing can guide action, which means it's necessarily better. Always normative level, which means normativity outweighs all the arguments because we're going to question about how we actually justify our arguments. Now, first, I'll concede your impacts, but death is good, which means you negate first premise. One's the premise that presence of pleasure is good and the presence of pain is bad. Premise is the absence of pleasure is neutral and the premise that absence of pain is good. Premise is that when you're alive, you experience pain and pleasure, meaning good and bad. When you're dead, you experience no pleasure, no pain, meaning good and neutral. More often, life is good and bad, and death is good and neutral. The good can't tell which leaves life, and bad is the death being neutral. Let's see. Vote negative on precautionary principle. Extinction is something that's necessarily good because there is no pain after you are extinguished. Necessarily turns all arguments. Also, allow neutral in our response to all arguments in the affirmative towards their it's key to clash because otherwise you have a lot of polyp arguments like some drop ones and whatever for automatic lag, which means the one see also independently is key to being able to check back on things that can just recontextualize the next speech, which means I'd be able to have a new speech as far as they at least have a speech to respond to that argument. As far as that, the 2 and R is uniquely key. Now, negating is harder. Also, independently, as far as you speak first and last, which means you have psychological judge persuasion advantage, since you frame around the mind. The last thing you remember, that also the asset stage failure by between the advocacy, which means they exclude all negative. But he's also independently, they did not tell me the affirmative 4-round or disclosure, which means I uniquely describe afflex. It's also link terms and everything in under view gets a presumption and next on theory because inherently hard to do. My side also means out of 3 I means up at the arguments unless you provide uniquely always interference because instruction comes out around. Also, the US arguments you should allow you to in our response to everything in the app and also independently the entire advantage is term because extinction is good and that's it.
Dave, can you send the death good stuff or did you just extend?
Oh, they're analytics.
Okay, sounds good. Are you good?
I'm good.
Oh shit. Quote from the 1 and C, you can't vote on out-of-round violations. Why vote on UF's bad?
Oh, the argument is if you win, you can vote on out-of-round violations, then.
Oh, so it's a contradiction. Okay, sounds good.
I don't think that's theoretical. It's probably just like an either or situation.
That's fine, dude.
You're gonna go for a perfect one.
Also, like, you've made arguments why theory is incoherent. You've also read theory, explain or justify this contradiction.
Would you like me to?
Yeah, please.
I'd love to. So the argument here is theory is incoherent. But if you like line by line all these arguments and why theory is coherent,
so to be
I just
clear,
want to have a substantive debate
so
with you.
to be clear, the affirmative has to defend both a world in which theory is incoherent and a world where it is coherent.
No, theory is incoherent.
Okay.
I'm just saying like
so theory is
these are
incoherent
arguments.
as of now.
As of right now, yes.
Okay, so can we just like scrap the 4th off the flow? I'm just confused.
You want to scrap it off? I'm saying if you line by line the theory is incoherent stuff, then you're gonna have to deal with the 4th off.
All right. The second off. Can you explain? Is this testimonies, or can you explain what like the
It's consistency with mutual tolerance.
What is the syllogism for the framework?
Yeah, sure. So the argument here is that like normativity must begin from the like standpoint of like motivation. So like you have to be able to motivate.
Why does normativity matter if ought necessarily implies logical consequences?
The argument is if you beat out logcon, then you have to deal with this.
So.
Do you want me to like layer the debate for you
Right.
so you can write your combo shell right now?
All right, wait. So I want you to tell me which one in C comes first, the logcon in C.
Logcon is true under like in logical. I think logcon is true, but if you somehow win your definitions debate,
do normative
then
obligations matter?
What?
Do normative obligations matter?
Our argument is that logcon is. Wait. What do you mean?
If logical consequences are the only thing that
Oh,
you
yeah, okay.
care about, then
We're debating under logcon. If you beat back logcon, you have to deal with this.
All right. Let's talk about
You're just not going to beat back logcon.
let's talk about or more specifically, actually continue explaining the framework. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
No, do you want me to just explain the like?
Explain the
top
framework.
down?
Explain the
Oh
framework.
yeah, sure. So in a pluralistic society with a variety of viewpoints, like the only way to maintain the assumption of obedience is by enacting norms that are justifiable to all people, which means that we must be mutually tolerant. Since we can evaluate the viewpoints of all individuals as people, we have to evaluate those who are actually motivated to cooperate with one another. Otherwise, we can't guide action. like who's gonna be like, oh yeah, dude, we should maximize pleasure and minimize pain. Like, yeah, I don't care like about my ends. Like, you're probably gonna save your mom. Like if like 3 like hobos like died, right? Like I don't think it's motivational at all, Utah.
But that doesn't. So what happens?
I'm just saying motivation matters. So you should.
So it's just a question of our individual motivations. I don't understand.
No, you have to be mutually tolerant in your action.
What does that look like? Give me an
Yeah.
example.
So if I think it's not a good idea, you can't do it.
If you think it's not a good idea,
If anybody thinks it's not a good idea,
do you think it's a good idea?
I think it's a horrible idea.
Okay. Let's talk about. That's fine. Explain the debatability warrant for LogCon.
Yeah, sure. The argument is that like it's literally impossible to have an ought debate or like a moral debate, which means it cannot, and also ought cannot guide action. There's an is-ought gap. There's multiple warrants. One of them is the is-ought gap. Thank you, Malso, for the evidence.
All right.
Stole it from Tej, but he stole it from you.
All right. Starting prep.
I'm ready. So excited.
What is this accessibility? So accessibility collapses to fairness. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we have multiple arguments against accessibility.
Okay. So okay.
Sometimes I still hand my kids back files from when my brother was debating in 2010. And I was just like, I don't need to type this, and I don't need it to be any good. Yeah. Yeah, you would appreciate this. I went through a while ago. Let me see if I can find it. Pull Loyola back file and pulled out all the theory files. And this was whenever I did it. You can see the oldest. Oh no, it's not. There we go. Yeah, multiple a priori that 2008. That's when it started. RBIs a month later. Some of these are corrupted, so I don't know if like there's the UK for you. Well, the way they do it too is like kind of funny. More knowledge, more educated. Wow, because everyone speaks differently. Yeah, this was Lane's good bad.
Yeah.
2000. Yeah, they didn't think that was gonna case bad, and that stuck around for a while. I was doing that in 2015. Yeah. I mean, there's drugs. Drugs don't. The name was severed from the critique in order to not bite into this. Oh. This is if they kicked the K. If they kicked the K, it's severance. I mean, it was kind of kicking things like content. Yeah, we need to clarify.
All right. Stop prep. The order. 26 seconds. The order is case, starting with the underview. Then mute off. Then the offs in this order. Theory and coherent. Then the case page proper, starting off framing. And then the log condency, the thing about how if he disagrees with the F, then you vote negative. Or the mutual tolerance.
Okay. What was the first thing again?
Okay, case under B, starting with the shell.
I guess. But where's the new off? Where's the new off?
The new off is going to be right after case.
Can you send me the
So
intro? of the-
after the under B, it's a new off, and then
Can you send the intro?
yeah.
of the email like loaded
Can I
after a
just
while.
say it?
Let me just write
Because
it.
I don't know if I can put it in a separate doc.
Okay.
Interpretation. Debaters cannot read contradicting positions like theory and coherent, and then read a shell, and then tell the app they have to defend both worlds.
Well, okay, cannot read contradictory positions.
Like theory and coherent,
Theory.
and then read a shell, and then tell the app they have to defend both worlds.
And then tell the app
They have to
defend
defend both worlds.
both worlds. It's a great show.
I know.
You
You
don't even read the intro. Just start with the standards.
start with standards.
No, just start with the standards.
No, read the intro. Read the
And
intro.
the off the clock roadmap,
obviously-
standards or strat scheme.
Obviously, read the standards.
Stratsky was moving.
Or at least claim you did and get away with it.
Okay.
Starting on the case disclosure stuff.
Yep.
And then going from there. Okay.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Good. Good.
Yeah.
No reasonability on the 1C shells. They concede they have time to respond in line by line to all arguments because they have a 7 no 1C and we only have 4 and no is necessary. And the 1C theory comes before 1C theory comes because it comes prior and we have more time to ignore the issue going for pre-round preparation because of course irreciprocal norms. We'll concede response to accessibility. We'll concede accessibility involves down to fairness. If it's an irreciprocal burden where we can actually prep them out because we don't have the ability to actually open any of their documents. They have no offensive limitations, which means there's only a risk that there's some sort of fairness offense. They say counter-intuition, you can just download documents. They conceded they have 120 documents, which means you have to download 120 open source documents, which is a horrible model of debate and makes it impossible for me to prep any of their arguments. It's irreciprocal and harms us or harms our ability to prep before a round, which means Joey George wins every debate for on preparation device. They say they get to ask me before round if we win competing iterations. That means that this is a horrible model of debate and it takes away time for pre-round preparation. The blind debate however, they say it's impact justified. This argument just doesn't make sense in the context of the challenge. We made specific arguments in the context of disclosure how this isn't infinitely aggressive considering the wiki rules clarifies that you should be consistent. You say there's no reason why you care for it and out-of-round violations are bad. This is also performing contradiction with all the arguments per cons infinitely outweigh all their arguments. If one is premeditated murder, you know what you're doing is wrong, but you still decide to do it anyways. If one is resolvability, the judge cannot resolve the debate. If they're contradicting arguments, the which independently is reasons why per con comes higher than all the arguments independently. Disclosure so just frequency, which means there's only a risk of offense and you should vote competing interpretation is infinitely aggressive. That was all the rules arguments that we made about how the wiki rules definitively clarifies that you shouldn't be doing this argument. There's no offense in the counter interpretation. There's only a risk of fairness. New off. Interpretation debates cannot be contradicting positions like theory and coherent, then be the shall, then tell the F to defend both worlds. One point is it makes it impossible for us to functionally give up one error because they can, in a world where we conquer one error, condition and go for the other. It skews one error strategy. Impossible for me to give perfect one error. It also means that any amount of time that I invest in one argument, they can just kick out of a time to get always the arguments. They want to only quantifiable impact to your bottle, which means definitely should quantify one error. Theory comes before any other arguments. It controls the direction of the rest of the debate, and the two inner collapses at weak points of one error, which means it definitely comes prior for this. Obviously, we'll concede fairness to the biggest internally. Now we'll respond to the third off. You say theories and coherent about is always determine inequalities. These are different types of inequalities. There are obviously some sort of structural fairness, and it's your job to make the debate as fair as possible. Also, second is to overview argument. Fairness unconditionally constrains your ability to evaluate these arguments. For example, if fairness doesn't matter, then you should just hack against Joey George and just vote for me independently, which means that's a reason why you should independently evaluate. They also made an argument why theory is true, which means that you should auto reject their theory and coherent arguments. They say evaluate theory before you evaluate theory. They make arguments about how it's just a portion of evaluating the flow. Obviously not. If you think a norm is a good idea, then you should prioritizing and debating the flow is just an affirmation of whether the norm is a good idea. So you say theory doesn't produce the best rule. Yes, it does. That was all the explanation about norms. Sitting at the bottom, that is how disclosure can proactively work difficulty to disclosure specific norms, which outweighs on specificity, which means you definitively prioritized. They say no competitive activity would establish norms. Yes, it was. It proven by things like soccer. Proven by things like soccer. They say theory says bad norms. No, it doesn't. We've empirically proven by things like disclosure. Valley changed their disclosure practices after maybe people read disclosure against it, which proves that disclosure empirically solves and it stops them. I've also beaten Joey on a bunch of these theory shells in the past, which just sort of proves our arguments that he will change the way. You say it's not jurisdictional. Yes, it is jurisdictional. It's your sort of role in order to improve the debate, so which means it definitely comes prior, and it's your jurisdiction to do so. And also the judge is in a unique position to change the sort of pedagogical value of the debate, so which means it definitely comes prior. They make arguments about fairness, not averted. They say fairness is situational. Even if it's situational, it can change the rules of the game, and it can change practices which can sort of develop into rules which solves back on the arguments. This is no bright line. There doesn't have to be an explicit bright line. It's that we think that if fairness is an intrinsic good that we should work towards. They say fairness is impossible. No, it isn't. Even if fairness is impossible, we should still work towards it, which solves back their argument. They say fairness is unfair. This relies on fairness being true in the first place, which means it's a paradoxical argument, and we'll expect all other arguments. You say we don't know when we've achieved fairness. Yes, we do that. You just have to meet our interpretation. It's solve an argument. Textual fairness does not solve any of our procedural piece and structural skew. Always all the arguments. That was all the one-ear Stratsky arguments that I made about how we can't even give a coherent one-ear case. You don't get neutral in our responses to anything that Dex 1A or strategy makes it impossible for me to give legitimate. Dex it makes it impossible for me to give legitimate because it also skews 100% time scale ways. They also conceded reasonability on 1C shells, which means new US bad shell doesn't matter. Also, they don't have a verifiable violation of the new US bad shell, which means you should arrogance that while we have a verifiable violation, which means the new US shell doesn't matter. The lock on they've conceded the psychology argument, which proves that debate should be about the logical consequence. Debate should be about the consequence of the affirmative and the post process of the plan. There's a couple of reasons why you should prioritize this, and they've conceded psychology outweighs all their warrants. It means that individuals are generally, regardless of what warrants they're winning, or even if they're attacking us, they've conceded that's reasons to why you just psychologically incline things like utilitarianism, regardless of whether logical consequences are true.
Great. I have how much prep left? Like, I have it written down somewhere. Let me find it.
57.
I had 57. Yeah. Oh yeah, 57. That's right. Thanks. Let me just set that. Starting now. Okay. Okay, cool. Order is F proper, overview, overview, the F proper, the underview, the 1AR shell, the AC shell. Or the AC shell, then the 1AR shell.
So, to be clear, overview, we're on the app.
Pardon?
Overview on the app.
Yeah.
Okay, overview, app shell, 1AR shell, then what?
No, sorry. Overview, your underview, or like the overview I made to your underview,
Okay.
the app shell, and the 1AR shell.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Cool. Whew. All right. Oh yeah. By the way, theories and coherence stuff is gonna be there. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be like I'll like make a cross app on some stuff. So. Is anybody not ready?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not ready?
No, go for it.
Okay. All right. You've conceded death is good for multiple reasons, which means we were in the substance. I concede your impact, but death is good, which means they never extend any office, which means you go with negative presumption. But even if they do, they concede that extinction is their impact, and that is good because premise one is the pleasure. Presence of pleasure is good. The presence of pain is bad. Premise two, the absence of pleasure is neutral. The absence of pain is good. Premise three, when you're alive, you experience pleasure and pain, meaning good and bad. When you're dead, you experience no pleasure and no pain, meaning good and neutral. And one says life is a good and bad, and death is good and neutral. The good cancel out, which is having a badness and death being neutral. Also, independently, they concede induction fails because it was at the bottom of the log condensi, which means that you necessarily negate on facing as far as you concede either a case in which you can predict the outcome of the situation, or we cannot. We cannot, as far as no situation is ever replicated exactly. And even if it can, there's no guarantee the outcome will be the same, which means that induction relates to circular relies on induction, which means that you should necessarily vote negative on presumption. They have no offense because all of this relies on induction because past events would lead to future events, which means that they have no post-event offense. All they do is win the theory debate, and I've won substance, and that means you should vote negative. Let's go for another argument. The overview on the theory of performative contradiction, you should reject the performative contradiction because there's a distinction between performative contradiction and contradictory argument. First, it's an either-or situation. It's not like I did something abhorrent, rather I just had a contradiction strategy, which means you should not be able to vote on this. No reason. That's why premeditated murder matters on a theory debate, and as far as it's not a question of my abuse versus your abuse. Secondly, it's like saying I cannot contest the 1AC framework and returns on cases. This is something that's completely contradictory. This just means you do not know how to defend the app, which means that is a reason. That's why you shouldn't necessarily get it. Also, negation theory uniquely always says the lens in which we should be viewing this around because it's key to testing in a way in which we can understand the app from multiple lenses. Also, do not vote on independent versions. As far as there's no framework, I mentioned to evaluate why independent voters are in fact voting issues, because even if they did win what I did is value, does not mean you drop me seconds. It destroys for anything, because usually 5 to 10 seconds. I have to overinvest so much of my time. Make sure I won't lose on time to you always, because I prior to making offers at the time to do so. Now there's it destroys substance education because I have to itch all these independent voting issues. I didn't know how to access my substantive offense. I always reversible because they only have 2 months to talk about the topic. Also, independent voters may make the result because no framework that value which ones come first, which means you reject that argument. Also, let's go to the AF underview.
Whoops, you can see that afflex is necessarily that outweighs all of your arguments because you can see there's a structural skew for the affirmative, which means that it's necessarily harder to affirm. This necessarily takes out all the arguments because if you can see that negating is hard. Now, first the argument is that you speak first and last, which means you have a psychological judge persuasion advantage since you frame the round in their mind and their last thing you remember. Secondly, you can see that you ask such a stage for debate by choosing the advocacy, which means they can easily exclude all neg ground and win easily. Now, you can see that this link turns everything in your underview and means I get presumption and neg flex on theory because it's inherently harder to debate my side. I'll say line means free I means up af theory unless you prove how it directly outweighs the skew because it's structural and comes out around. This one can see, which means I meet both of the shells independently. That means that you should independently arrow for the negative on the shell because you can see that negating is harder, which means there's a structural skew for negating, which means that all their times you always arguments. Back to the question if we have the ability to be able to engage in the first place. The negating is inherently harder because there's a judge psychological persuasion argument, which means that even if they had the time to respond to all my arguments, it begs the question if you would be even persuaded by my arguments in the first place. You can think of the first and last speech, and they also set the stage for the debate by choosing the advocacy, which they can exclude all neg ground and win easily. This argument was conceded, which means that it precludes all of their arguments. Like, warn here is that you've never responded to the neg flex argument, which means that it precludes all of your arguments and outweighs. We've done weighing in the one and C. That's why, like, the structure of debate, insofar as negating is harder, precludes and outweighs all of their arguments. And literally, the line was I get free, I means up af theory, unless you prove how it uniquely outweighs the times the skew because it's structural and comes out of round. The argument is that that's how you should frame your ballot on the theory debate in terms of like weighing between afflex and their standards because they've conceded that like you literally cannot. I could not have engaged, so all of their weighing just goes away because it's inherently harder to negate, and it begs the question if you like have been persuaded by Margaret or not. So there's like a suspect argument there. Let's go to theories and coherence stuff. The only argument you made against a non-jurisdictional is yes, it is. It's your role to improve the debate space and then just a unique position to change about to go to law. However, you can see that the judge can only vote for some improvement their side of the resolution. The argument is that the resolution doesn't care about whether we can debate, just prove your side. The theory isn't voted. This argument was conceding. The only argument they made against it was that they just try to add some pragmatic benefit, but they've never given a reason that's why you should care about it, or a reason that's why this is uniquely intrinsic to the structure of debate. The jurisdiction as he voted was conceded, which means that as far as it is jurisdictional, that you means you are not allowed to vote on theory because it's out of round. Also, you should reject the argument. Also, independently, you can see the out of round violations necessarily. You should not vote on them. Insofar as it justifies doing things like voting me down for reading a pick when I was a freshman, which means it would just justify people keep reading it because there's no disadvantage, which means internal defense to your interpretation means that there's no reason that's why anyone will stop, which means you're bad for norm setting because if you just read out of round violations, that means I'll just keep doing it because I will know that I already lost. Like, for example, if I read a pick my freshman year, that means that if I keep losing the picks back, it doesn't stop me from reading picks, which means that I know I'm just going to lose the picks back in the round anyway, which means that takes out the rest of your arguments. Now, secondly, on the rest of the arguments, we're going to go for one. Fairness is not a voter argument as well. You've conceded that fairness is unfair because the judge decides what accounts as fair, so puts the other debater in existence. And also, you can see that theory always comes to who has the last say on theory. The round is also who has the best theory blocks. Not abusing this round. Also, you can see if I'm textual, I'm fair because the resolution is the only thing we're given before the round, which always unpredictability. This is literally in the document, which means the only voter that they went for is fairness, which means that this precludes and outweighs the arguments. The way of 100% restricted link to our arguments, that's why fairness is not good. And also, you can see that fairness is impossible because it will require giving each debater the same amount of speeches and time, which means that the only response that you made to this was not responsive that said that, it is possible we should still work toward it. It begs the question, but we should still work toward it. You can see that fairness is impossible. So even if you say that we should still work toward it, that's just false and it's just a form of cruel optimism because it begs the question if we can actually change anything anyway. Fairness is impossible, and fairness is like inevitable. Unfairness is inevitable, and if I'm textual, I'm fair. These were all arguments that were conceded. Also, independently, if they somehow win access to any of their arguments, you should necessarily, to their theory arguments, you should necessarily vote negative because they've conceded. Neg flex precludes everything because it begs the question if the negative was in any position to answer the arguments or preclude anything in the first place. Let's just go to the shell proper. Firstly, I didn't say wait, one sec. Firstly, I never said the app had to defend both worlds. The argument here is that I just said that you had to go for one of the worlds, and I just framed around. Now, first, the argument is that you just have to beat back the shell. Like, I do not care if you just read the shell. I do not care if you responded to the shell. The argument here is that all you have to do is beat back theories incoherent, then you'd be able to get your shell. You didn't have to respond to either of them, which means that you could just follow something else. There's no contradictory strategy, which means that insofar as that is true, even if there was a contradictory strategy, you didn't have to defend both worlds. Okay, here's how you frame the ballot. Induction fails means you vote negative on presumption, and death good also means you vote negative on presumption. Also, afflex and theories incoherent fairness not a voter just means.
Does anyone remember how much time I had?
In 26 seconds.
26. Okay. What was the implication? It said you get auto we meets unless we prove that
there were
their
three
structural
implications.
no, unless we prove their structural skew outweighs or something. What was that?
No,
argument?
sorry. There were three implications. So let me go to it. It link turns everything in your underview. It means I get presumption and neg flex on theory because it's inherently harder to debate my side, which outweighs. Also, it means free I meets off af theory unless you prove how it uniquely outweighs the disparity over the skew because it's structural and comes out of round, which precludes.
Sounds good. Wait, it comes out of round?
It's
So
like
it comes first?
the argument is structures the debate, which means it's
Okay.
a question of my engagement.
Sounds good.
it
The
does.
order is going to be first on this fairness, incoherent theory, incoherent debate, and then it's going to be the one error show. Alright. Good?
Yep.
Good. Are you good? Okay.
Alright,
Right.
sorry, what's the first thing?
So the fairness incoherent and theory incoherent, I've flowed those right under perf con stuff, or right under flexibility, I think. So I would start there, and then after that I would move to the one error show. I'm just gonna I just flowed the 2 error straight down. So that's the order that I'm going in.
Fair enough.
Okay. Good.
There are 2 framing issues that you should use to evaluate about. One, they conceded fairness unconditionally constrains your ability to evaluate the ground. For example, if fairness really doesn't matter, then you should just hack against Joey jurors. This was an argument in the one error, which was as an overview argument, which means if you really buy all the arguments, and even if I technically conceded, then you should just hack against them regardless, which means vote affirmative. Right now, this was a top-level framing issue we made on all the fairness and coherence stuff. Regardless, they line by line it down. They say non-jurisdictional. We have made arguments that there's some sort of telos to debate that you have to improve the debate. So we made arguments that controls eternally to being able to test argumentation, which was all our Stratsky arguments that we made in the one error, regardless of all their negative flexibility stuff. Well, we responded to later. The judge, even if you don't have the jurisdiction to do so, you have some sort of pedagogical value to make debates resolvable. They concede a resolvability argument, which means that it makes it impossible for you to jurisdictionally vote for someone if they're contradicting arguments, which means any risk of a contradiction means you automatically vote affirmative. That's game over on the jurisdiction page. And I'm the only one that is in contextual analysis in either of these arguments. They say out-of-round violations don't matter, but they also make a contradiction here when they talk about how they talk about we means only matter because of out-of-round arguments, which sort of just proves another contradiction, which proves all the resolvability arguments, and that was flagged as a reason that you should drop them, regardless if there's an independent voting issue. Going for the shell, it's an independent reason to drop you. You also read independent voting issues, the one see, which means these equally apply to you for this entire dump. The line proper group their responses. They say fairness is impossible. For example, we need things like equal speech times. We do have equal speech times, and we have made arguments that even if you cannot reach perfect fairness, moving towards it is just a genuinely better model of debate, which is probably the reason why you should prioritize it. Otherwise, unconditionally it constrains your ability to evaluate arguments, even if it creates cruel optimism, which wasn't implicated at all in the last speech. They say they make arguments as to why fairness is impossible. They say you were textual because you were fair. There was a response to this. It doesn't resolve any of our procedural fairness offense as to how you create worse words and norms. Extend the interpretation proper. I'll do that debate here. They've conceded a stress argument. The reasons why one error theory outweighs considering the fact it controls the direction of the rest of the debate. It also indicts your ability to go for fairness and coherent or theory incoherent because of the fact that I wasn't able to respond to these arguments in the first place, which means the stress argument definitionally comes prior since it indicts your ability to go for them in the first place, which means you should feel uncomfortable going for this. Now I'll respond to this. I meet on negative flexibility. They made a phrase, and there was a phrase at the end of this argument that you should filter first. They made an argument that said that we just have to prove that our standards outweigh all their risk of negative flexibility or structural skew, and you should feel comfortable voting for this argument. There's 2 framing issues. First, there's a contradiction in this argument, which was all the explanation I did above, and that was the last second of prep time, which means all our resolvability offense definitionally comes prior. Negation theory is not a reason why you should win because it infinitely skews it and makes it impossible for us to actually test the merits of the affirmative, which means all their negation theory arguments don't really matter independently. They made arguments why fairness mattered in the last speech, which also just proves all our resolvability arguments. The next argument is they say they meet our shell. This is bullshit. You know, though you should evaluate text, but spirit of the interpretation, you knew what the crossing violation was specifically talking about. They obviously were talking about how we have to defend one world in which an interpretation where theories go here in a world in which it isn't, which skews one error strategy. They conceded we need strategy in order to make arguments in the first place, which means it definitionally comes prior. They say there's no contradictory strategy. I've already responded to this argument. The theory is obviously coherent. They've conceded a whole host of arguments, the presumption stuff with one reason as to why it structurally makes it impossible for us to engage, which means negative flexibility shouldn't come at the cost of screwing over the affirmative.
Alright, good bit. You wanna go?
Huh?
You wanna go?
Please.
Alright.